mother made me eat peanut butter sandwiches every single day for lunch starting the week I turned 12. Not because I liked them, but because she decided my recent complaints about feeling sick after eating trail mix were psychological weakness that needed to be conquered through exposure. She'd read some article online about how modern parents were creating allergic children through overprotection, and she became obsessed with proving that allergies were manufactured conditions existing only in the minds of weak-willed people. She announced at dinner one Sunday that our family would no longer acknowledge any claimed food sensitivities because doing so would only reinforce imaginary limitations. The trail mix incident had happened 3 weeks earlier at school. I'd eaten some from a bag my friend Olivia shared during lunch, and within 20 minutes my mouth felt strange and tingly. My tongue started swelling slightly, and I felt nauseous enough to visit the school nurse, who gave me Benadryl and called my mother to pick me up early. Mom arrived irritated that her workday had been interrupted for what she deemed dramatic attention-seeking. She lectured me the entire drive home about the power of suggestion and how reading food labels created psychosomatic reactions. When I tried explaining that the tingling and swelling were real physical sensations, she cut me off and said that was exactly how the mind manifested imaginary problems into physical symptoms. My father stayed silent during these lectures, which was his standard response to most family conflicts. He worked long hours as an accountant and seemed to view parenting as something that happened around him rather than something requiring his participation. When Mom announced her new policy about food sensitivities, Dad just nodded and went back to his newspaper. My 8-year-old brother Felix looked between us with worried eyes but said nothing. We'd all learned that disagreeing with Mom when she latched onto an idea only made things worse. The peanut butter sandwich protocol started the next Monday. Mom made my lunch every morning. 2 thick slices of whole wheat bread with a generous layer of natural peanut butter, an apple, and water. She watched me pack it into my lunch bag each morning, explaining that consistency was important for retraining my mind to understand that peanuts were harmless. I tried arguing that maybe I should just avoid peanuts if they made me feel sick, but she called that defeatist thinking. She said humans had eaten nuts for thousands of years, and only in the last generation had this allergy epidemic appeared, which proved it was psychological rather than biological. The first sandwich made my mouth tingle within 3 bites. I threw most of it away and bought chips from the vending machine instead. That evening, Mom asked how lunch went and I lied, saying it was fine. She seemed pleased and said we'd continue the protocol until my mind learned that peanuts posed no threat. I nodded and excused myself to do homework. I managed to avoid eating the sandwiches for almost 2 weeks by throwing them away and buying alternative lunches, but Mom checked my account balance and noticed I'd been spending money at school. She pulled up the cafeteria purchase history online and saw the pattern of chip purchases during lunch periods. Her expression hardened and she asked directly if I'd been eating the sandwiches she made. I hesitated too long, and she knew. The confrontation happened that evening after dinner. Mom called a family meeting in the living room and announced that I'd been deceiving her about eating the peanut butter sandwiches, wasting food and money to reinforce my psychosomatic condition. She said this behavior demonstrated exactly the kind of weakness she'd been trying to eliminate. From now on, she would supervise my lunch consumption directly. She'd arranged with my school principal to take her lunch break at the same time as mine, and she'd eat with me in the cafeteria to ensure I consumed the entire sandwich while she watched. My stomach dropped. Having my mother supervise my lunch like a toddler would be humiliating in front of my classmates. Felix looked at me with sympathy but said nothing. Dad made a small sound that might have been objection, but when Mom turned to look at him, he went quiet. She continued explaining that this intervention was necessary because I'd proven I couldn't be trusted to follow through. The supervised lunches started the next day. Mom arrived at the cafeteria at noon with her own lunch and sat across from me at my usual table. My friends scattered to other tables, clearly uncomfortable. Mom unpacked my lunch and set the peanut butter sandwich in front of me, then opened her own salad and began eating while watching me expectantly. I picked up the sandwich with shaking hands, my throat already feeling tight with anxiety. The first bite made my mouth tingle immediately, that same burning sensation from the trail mix incident, but more intense. I tried to tell Mom my mouth felt strange, but she cut me off and said that was my mind creating symptoms because I expected them. She instructed me to take another bite and focus on breathing calmly instead of manufacturing panic. I took a second bite and the tingling spread to my lips and tongue, which started feeling swollen. I set the sandwich down and said I really didn't feel well, that something was wrong. Mom's expression hardened and she told me to stop performing and finish eating. When I hesitated, she leaned forward and said in a low voice that I would eat every bite of that sandwich or she'd make me eat 2 sandwiches tomorrow while she watched. I forced myself to keep eating despite the growing discomfort in my mouth and throat. But by the 4th bite, things took a turn I never expected. Full story is linked below. What medical emergency did